Did you know that in the past half-century, world exports of cereals rose fourfold, from about 100 million tons to over 400 million tons today? Impressive amounts, don't you think? The unprecedented improvements in food access have gone hand in hand with a massive rise in long-distance trade. There's a widely held perception that the globalization of food markets has induced greater inequality in food access. Those who can afford to it have ample access to a large variety of foods. Those who have to live from a few dollars a day have very limited choice. Huge global inequalities in purchasing power have created situations in which large tracts of farmlands in poor countries are used to produce luxury crops for consumers in rich countries. This has often been seen as an adverse effect of globalization. It would be wrong, however, to conclude that trade in foodstuffs itself has caused human deprivation. In reality, the effects of global trade in food are extremely complex, and the winners and losers are not so easy to identify. From the very beginning of human history, people have exchanged food within their communities as well as with outsiders. Humans engage in the exchange of food because it helps them to diversify their diets. In tribes of hunter-gatherers, this exchange took place between those who hunted for game, often men, and those who collected edible plants, nuts, fruits and so on, often women. Pastoralists traded with farmers for similar reasons. The globalization of food markets in the 20th century had multiple implications. On the one hand, it has given many farmers new opportunities to sell part of their produce and to specialize in the production of a marketable crop. On the other hand, it has subjected farmers to market forces, and especially the volatility of food prices. Low food prices have been favorable for consumers, and especially the growing numbers of urban poor, but may have given farmers a very hard time. High prices have an opposite effect. In the past 2 centuries, the relative prices of major food staples such as cereals has come down dramatically, as you can see in this graph. These prices have fallen in comparison to prices for non-food commodities such as manufactured goods. The decline in prices has improved the access to food for lower income classes, but it has also implied lower profit margins for farmers who were unable to compete. This has led to a situation in which countries with large shares of the labor force engaged in agriculture are nevertheless now net food importers, as imported foods are cheaper than local produce. In recent years, and especially since the start of the 21st century, food prices have started to rise again, with some sharp price spikes in the late 2010s. International prices of imported nutrients such as fat and sugar have also decreased massively. Whereas fat and sugar in earlier centuries were regarded as a luxury nutrient, which were only available in sufficient quantities to the elites, they are now typically overrepresented in the diets of the poorer strata. Thus, today, many more people have access to cheap sources of calories. Overconsumption of fat and sugar have caused obesity in rich as well as poor countries, even though the poorest people in the world may still have insufficient access to these essential nutrients. Indeed, unequal access to healthy food has many faces.